Good morning, team. Hope you guys are doing well today. We got the mic working finally, and I figured out what it was. I figured out why the mic wasn't working. But today we have the massive CPI inflation report going live very, very soon. In about an hour and a half, we'll put a timer up. Let me know if the stream is running smooth. You should be able to hear everything. You should be able to see everything already. Mic should be good, and we should be rolling here this morning. A lot of stuff to talk about today. So obviously with ongoing trade talks between the US and China in focus, people are hoping of potential easing of the technology exports more than anything. That's why we can see NVIDIA sitting just under 144s this morning. There's hopes for potential easing of like technology export controls in exchange for rare earth minerals. And the talks going overseas. The market is closely watching for developments as the 90-day pause on certain tariffs approaches its expiration. Businesses have indicated that tariff uncertainty is making forecasting and planning difficult. And we've had pretty mixed economic reports recently. Obviously, last Friday we had the May jobs report. It came in better than expected. It eased some concerns. The market went up from it. Manufacturing employment has declined, though, potentially reflecting tariff stuff. The outlook by the Federal Reserve is future interest rates decisions are heavily tied to inflation. And so they're data dependent, particularly the CPI report, with the probability of a July cut dropping. A September move is still more considered likely by analysts, with expectations for 1 or 2 rate cuts in the later half of this year. The Fed has taken a wait and see approach regarding the impact of tariffs on inflation. Oh, sorry, I bumped my microphone, but the volume should be pretty crisp this morning. Let me know if it's not. In market news, Paramount Global is slashing its U.S. workforce by 3.5%. We got Enphase jumping on reports of possible roadblocks in the Senate. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, REGN shares are up after positive trial data. Semiconductor stocks are higher on optimism for these easing trade talks that we spoke about already. And we got a couple other things going down in stocks. Home prices have kind of looked a little rough lately. Home sellers are facing, troubles potentially as listing hit a record high value, indicating a buyer's market, a growing gap between sellers and buyers. Buyer's market just means there's a lot more houses for sale than there are buyers. And so buyers get to basically choose the best house versus scrambling to get a house before somebody else picks it up in a seller's market, if that makes sense. But yeah, today's CPI report releasing at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time is the most widely used measure of inflation. The Fed uses PCE, but everybody else uses CPI for the most part. It reflects the average change over time in prices paid by urban consumers for a basket of goods and services. The Fed has a dual mandate of maximizing employment and maintaining price stability, with long-term inflation target typically around 2%. Usually any significant deviation from this, particularly on the upside, can trigger a hawkish response by the Fed, i.e. rate hikes and restrictive monetary policy pushing back rate cuts. Conversely, a substantial miss to the downside could prompt a more dovish stance. And so it's a pretty important metric today. It's one of our biggest reports that we cover here on a regular basis. These are some things that you want to pay attention to, but economists are generally expecting an increase from May. The annual inflation rate is forecast to rise to 2.5% from 2.3% in April. The annual core rate, excluding food and energy, is projected to go up to 2.9% from 2.8%. These slight increases could be interpreted as early signs that the tariff stuff has caused price pressure. A lot of businesses are hesitant to fully pass on higher costs to consumers, but this CPI report might offer some clearer evidence of that pass through if that happens. Now, again, this is what you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to headline CPI versus core. Headline CPI gives a broad overview. Core CPI is a lot of the time more closely watched by the Fed. It provides a clearer picture of inflation trends, filtering out short-term volatility of food and energy, gas and food, basically. A jump in either, though, especially core, could cause panic. You want to look at month over month beyond the year over year, because the month over month changes for both are crucial. Larger than expected monthly increase could signal, accelerating inflationary problems from the tariffs. So the forecast for monthly CPI, I believe it's 0.3%. Let me make sure, but I believe it's 0.3%. Let me check. Yeah, it's 0.3%. It's 0.2%. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Let me update the stream here. 0.2%. Core is 0.3% is what it is. There you go. Whoa, nope, that's wrong. Yep. Core expected 0.3%. And 2.9% year over year. All right, so we should be good here. We even got this thing up. And let's get a timer up, shall we? Sound is good. Good. What's up, Towers? JP, Ray, Pawn, Ava, Keegan, Womble, Cato, Amo, Good News, Simple, Fire, Graph, R, Prime. What's up, chat? All right, so if we meet expectations, beat, the bull market continues. Maybe. Honestly, I think this is what it is. I think low is bad, high is good. Or no, reverse that. Low is good, high is bad. I'm sorry, don't listen to what I just said. Low is good. You want lower inflation. You don't want high inflation. I think if it comes in low, that's good, of course. Obviously, if it comes in high, that's bad. This is a really simplified way to show it, but low is good, high is bad. High is going to be really bad right now. If we get high inflation right now, it's going to mean a couple different things. It's going to mean less likelihood of cuts, greater chance of pauses. Look at NVIDIA shoot up right now this morning in pre-market, though, chat. Look at NVIDIA rip up. Let's see what's going on. Sorry, every time I do this, I don't know why it does that. I wish it didn't. I have to figure that out. But all right, so I'm looking at some news here. Okay, so this news just came out. IQVIA unveils new AI agents built with NVIDIA to speed up drug discovery and streamline clinical trials. So we just had some news come out. I'll post this to the stream. So this news just dropped right now. So this news just came out. I think this is what's causing NVIDIA to pop. Look at Apple, though. Apple's down. NASDAQ still sitting at 21 something, almost just under 22s, but still pretty strong. I mean, honestly, if we're almost at 22,000, we've come all the way back up. So 22,000 is a great number to be at on the NASDAQ. We're getting pretty close to highs. And again, today we got CPI. And so a couple different things could happen. We could get bumped down from today's CPI report, or it could propel us to all-time highs. We'll see. Yeah, we'll get a timer up right now. Still 4 a.m. on the West Coast. It's crazy. Okay, so Pawn just sent me something for Discord. I'll have to go check Discord. Let me do a poll here this morning. The CPI, just today's CPI report, show up higher or lower than the 0.2% month over month estimate? Higher, lower, as expected. It's going to be the three options here for the poll. Vote on the poll. Let me know how you feel. Here, I'll put Discord up. If say something wrong in chat, you're done. What does that mean? Look, so Elon came out saying, I think Elon and the current administration are patching things up. He said, I regret some of my posts about the prez last week. They went too far, end quote, to Elon Musk. So maybe they're squashing things. I don't know, man. I think they both say dumb stuff a lot of the time. In general, I think both of them kind of say dumb stuff. But I'm pretty neutral on all of it, honestly. Yeah, like, honestly, my daughter told me, somebody at the beach thought I was Puerto Rican. And honestly, I took it as a bragging point. Like, I would love to look Puerto Rican. I think that would be cool. And so I was kind of like bragging about it and kind of trolling my daughter about it all day. The other day, and some people took that, you know, in a weird way, and people are just trying to find something wrong. If anything, it means I appreciate Puerto Ricans. I love Puerto Ricans, you know. And like I said, we had a neighbor that was Puerto Rican. He was super cool, and that's where I got the taco comment, because he did make Puerto Rican tacos. They had like some type of like ham in them. They were really good, honestly, really good. Or no, they were like seafood tacos, actually, but they were good. But people take things, they stretch it, they want things to be bad, and, you know, it's all good. Yeah, just to clarify, I mean, yeah, never mind. Vertiv announces 142 kilowatt cooling and power reference architecture for NVIDIA GB300 NVL2 platform. What's up, Corey? All right, again, I'm going to hide this current comment. We had a bunch of NVIDIA news, but NVIDIA honestly just retraced all the way back down to 144s. What's up, Faye? What's the best trading platform to use for stocks? I am used to crypto. I think it just varies, brother. It just varies. NASDAQ's breaking down. I like TOS for stocks. I like TOS. NASDAQ's fallen down a little bit. I'm trying to see if there's any breaking news here. I did see some polls this morning. So number one, NBA 30-year mortgage data came out a little bit higher than last time. So 30-year mortgage rates went up slightly at 6.93%. 6.93%. I saw something about yields too. Yeah, so the 10-year yield is set to fall to 4.35% according to a Reuters poll within 3 months, and 4.29% within 6 months. We also had some news that said, quote, U.S. President posts, a federal appeals court has just ruled that the U.S. can use tariffs to protect itself against other countries, a great and important win for the U.S. So that honestly kind of finalized some of these tariffs, and that showed up about 30 minutes ago. Chewy did some numbers this morning. Chewy did just post numbers this morning. But yeah, the big story is the CPI report, to be honest, man. That's the big story. I said TOS, T-O-S, Thinkorswim is my favorite platform personally, but it's subjective. Everybody's different. The 10-year, let's take a look at it, is currently sitting. Here's the 10-year. Sitting right about 4.5%. Here's 10. Right around 4.5%. It's up a little bit today, showing a higher interest rate sentiment. Does this mean people think tariffs are going to be worse, or that inflation is going to get worse? But we're sitting at 4.5% right now, chat. 4.5. So we'll see how this goes. But there's yields. 10-year yield sitting at 4.5%, higher a little bit this morning. Yesterday it was at like 4.42. Look at all this stuff drop right now, though. I'm trying to see why. So they're looking to incite tariffs as an excuse to short. Yeah, I mean, the market's turning right now, and there's not really any. Let me check one more source. Hold on. Yeah, 30-year mortgage rate showed up at 6.93%, 6.92% last time. Ooh. Yeah, so CPI report's massive today. Yeah, so you want to pay attention to shelter, housing costs, including rent and owner's equivalent rent, are a significant component of the CPI report today and have been persistent drivers of inflation. Pay attention to whether shelter inflation is going up or down. Energy and food inflation. So although excluded from core, changes in gas prices, natural gas, food prices directly impact customer budgets and public sentiment. Large swings can still influence inflation expectations. Goods and services. Analysts are going to be looking for signs of tariff impacts, which would primarily show up in goods prices. However, the stickiness of service inflation, medical care, transportation, stuff like that is also a key concern. Pay attention to it. All right, so I'm going to do an article. Yeah, so Nvidia all the way back. So you can see this previous closing price is right around 144, a little bit underneath that for Nvidia's. Nvidia slightly red, so is Apple. NASDAQ turned a little bit too. Yeah, so we got this built. Okay. All right, so we're gonna make this post. We're doing a post. You can follow me at Beginner Trades if you want a breakdown. We're gonna do a breakdown post of everything to pay attention to in this CPI report. So a lot of stuff to watch, honestly. But we just got to broke it down right now. Hey, what's up, Sam? How you doing, brother? Yeah, so I saw that at 6 a.m. Basically, a federal appeals court ruled that they can use the tariffs. Previously they had blocked some of them, basically saying that you can't use that statute to implement the tariffs. This morning, they have reversed that. And so they basically ruled that, here, let me find the exact one. Chewy also had some earnings this morning. But yeah, they basically, the president said, quote, a federal appeals court has just ruled that the U.S. can use tariffs to protect itself against other countries, a great and important win for the U.S., end quote. And again, I'm just quoting him. I'm not saying I agree with or disagree with anything. I'm just quoting him. But yeah, that's the quote. What's up? What's up, chat? There's a place that they announce all of it. There's a report, and we're going to cover that too. Here, look, I'm going to put a timer up. I think I'm missing a timer this morning. Okay. I don't want a focus section. I just want a timer. All right, so we got an hour and about 4 minutes, right? Put this up here. I have to put that right there. Yeah, so we got an hour. All right, where's my timer? Okay, we got our timer up. It's ready. It's right here. Make sure you guys can see it. Put the timer right here. I think I might need to move some of these charts up though with how we're structuring the stream today. Like this maybe, huh? That's probably a little bit cleaner right here. All right, catch you back up on the chat here. Feels like a video will be at 150 by the end of the week. Yeah, I mean, a lot of markets are really close to all-time highs, and this is something that JP Morgan said recently. JP Morgan recently said, I could also structure the stream like this. Which one would you prefer? We have this one here, or we've got this here. Which one's better? So which would you guys like? This one's a little bit cleaner, but the other one makes the charts a little bit bigger. So which one would you prefer? This is 2, and this is 1. Which one? 1 or 2? Again, this current one is 1. The other one is 2. Let me know. But yeah, basically, JP Morgan said, okay, most people say they want 1. Okay, we'll keep it like this. Yeah, so JP Morgan recently said that they think we are going to break all-time highs either this week or next week. within the next 2 weeks, basically, is what they said. They think we're going to break all-time highs within the next few weeks. And I don't know, man. I think it's possible, but I think a lot of it depends on the CPI report. I think we're close enough to all-time highs to where something I've pretty regularly said for years is that when we get close to big milestone levels, and all-time highs might be the biggest milestone level, as we get closer and closer to them, sometimes, a lot of the time, they can become like a magnet. So the closer we get, the greater the chance it is that we actually at least test that level or potentially break it. And so as we approach these all-time highs, I think the likelihood that we at least test them increases. And I think that's probably what JP Morgan is thinking as well here, where like the closer we get to these levels, the greater the likelihood that we test these levels are. So we'll see. But do you guys think we break all-time highs in the next 2 weeks, like JP Morgan? And we're going to get ready to trade today, too. I'm just a little nervous about trading right now. I'll probably wait and see what the CPI report brings. Do y'all hear some clicky noises? Do y'all really? Should be pretty clean, but it's hard to tell. I might need to turn the gain down a little bit on my mic. Hold on. Let me know if that's a little bit better. I don't want the mic to be so good where it picks up everything, so I'd rather turn the gain down a little bit. But let me know if this is worse. Yeah, I mean, that ruling basically means the tariff threat's still there. I mean, people could say it's good or bad or whatever, but it means the tariff threat's still there. SPY wants all-time highs, but I don't know. Yeah, let's take a look at the SPY here. So we'll put the SPY in the middle. SPY is currently at 602s. All-time highs in the SPY are, let's zoom out, 613s. So we're at 602s, 603s right now in the SPY. All-time highs are 613s. So we're getting pretty close to all-time highs on the SPY. NASDAQ's very similar. I mean, look, NASDAQ all-time highs 22,450. We're at 22, basically. So we're getting pretty close here to all-time highs in both. NVIDIA all-time highs are at like 150, slightly over 150 at 153. We're about $10 away. And honestly, I think NVIDIA is going to drive it. Like, NVIDIA is the stock that is going to drive all-time highs, pushing, and all these other indices. NVIDIA is the one that's going to push that over every other stock, I think. I mean, there's other stocks that influence the market, of course. NVIDIA is just one stock, but NVIDIA's weight in the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow, I don't know if NVIDIA is in the Dow. I have to look to see if NVIDIA is in the Dow. But NVIDIA's weight in major indexes, and not just its weight, but its sympathy movement influence, like it causes other markets to follow it, especially obviously indexes like the S&P and the NASDAQ that hold NVIDIA. But with that said, I'm watching NVIDIA. I think if we want the market to break all-time highs, I think NVIDIA has to retest all-time highs itself. And I think a lot of this is going to depend, again, on today's CPI inflation report. Not just that, but today we got CPI inflation. Next week we got the Fed decision, and they both influence future monetary policy, of course. Like today we got CPI. If we get really high CPI, that's going to make rate cuts even less probable. If we get low CPI, maybe it's going to give us a chance to cut rates earlier than expected. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to cut rates this month, because I think that's already out the window. But it might increase the earlier rate cut probabilities, so we might cut rates earlier than expected. I still don't think we're going to, but anything can happen here in markets. How does economic data look for you? I see empty shipping ports, delayed info with layoffs, but what do I know? I mean, if we're talking about data's mixed. Strong jobs market. GDP was weak, but that's a little bit lagging. We've seen some really low job counts. We've seen some high job counts. GDP, we've seen some low numbers and some high numbers. Honestly, they're pretty mixed. And I think that is the Federal Reserve's argument, which is that, hey, things are too mixed right now. We don't know if we're going to get inflation to get worse. We don't want to risk cutting interest rates to stimulate the economy. One of the things I do, and again, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with, listen, it's not like I'm not against anybody here. Like, I'm not very politically interested. I follow everything, but I don't really pick a side. I'm very middle, to be honest. With that said and out the way, the issue that I have in some of these things, like the president says, why are we so late to cut rates? Honestly, we started cutting rates last year. We've already cut rates a full percentage point from September to December of 2024. And so we've already cut rates, pretty recently. In the last 8 months, we've cut rates. 7 months, we've cut rates. We cut them a full percentage point at the end of last year, and that was after we paused rates for a year, and then we started cutting rates. And so essentially we cut rates a full percentage point last year, and then we paused that dovish policy for the last 6 months or so. And then it looks like we're going to cut again sometime soon. Now, I don't know whether I agree with that or not, but I think we already have started cutting rates last year. Now, we didn't really finish it. We stopped. But, whether we should have continued like consistent cuts consecutively more and more afterwards is an argument that y'all can have. I don't know. What I do know is that I don't want to see prices go up anymore. This is something that everybody here should say. Like, I get it. People want to toe the company line in terms of politics with the president. I get it. I'm not against you. I'm not for you either. I'm very neutral. But what you have to understand is that the Federal Reserve is worried about inflation over everything else. They're worried about inflation, and understandably so. And if I had to pick a side, I would be worried more about inflation. And I've said this 1,000 times on the stream. It's absolutely true. I'm more worried about inflation than I am economic weakness. I would much rather us go into a mini recession than have inflation spike more. Because prices have gone up 2, 3, 4, 5x in a lot of places over the last 5 years. They've gone up way too much, and we need compensating years to correct that of price stability. We need compensating years, because then if we don't and prices go up more, pretty quickly we're like, it's a slippery slope, and we're really in trouble if prices start to spike more and more and more. And like, the president just wants a strong economy as a bragging point to his presidency. And this, it's not just him, it's all presidents. They want a strong economy as a bragging point. They want to say, look at my economy, look how strong it is. And to be fair, the other side wants to say, hey, look at how weak the economy is. Bad. You should have elected our guy, right? It's the game of politics. But right now, I'm more worried about inflation. And I think everybody here should worry about inflation too. And so that's why today's inflation report is incredibly important. It drops in about 50 minutes. Expectations, generally speaking, again, if you don't really tune into these reports, inflation's going to rise most of the time. At least a little bit every year. It's very rare to have prices actually decrease, like literally go down. Most of the time when we want slowing or easing inflation, we want inflation to slow down, not necessarily go down. Going down means usually we're in a much weaker economic state. And so today it's expected again at 0.2% month over month for regular CPI. Core CPI, which is what a lot of people pay attention to, is excluding food and energy prices, because those are some of the most volatile. That drops and is expected at 0.3%, 0.3% rise month to month. And then year over year regular CPI expected at 2.5%. And then core is expected at 2.9%. So we'll see what we get there. But that is where we are now with all the stuff going on. That is where inflation lies. Inflation isn't that bad. Stop doom and gloom. I'm not talking about, look, you can look at the rate and be like, oh, inflation's not that bad. That's not what I'm saying. That's actually a pretty, like, what we have right now, like 2.5%. It's not the worst. It's really not. But you're missing my point. My point is, over the last 5 years since 2020, prices have gone up a lot. Everywhere. that is not a sustainable thing. Like we can look at the metric and isolate the metric. Again, a lot of people are just towing a line because they want to agree with whomever. And again, I'm very neutral. I'm not against him. I agree with some of the stuff he does. I disagree with some of the stuff he does. I'm more worried about inflation than a strong economy right now, personally. But that's subjective. Maybe you guys are more worried about a weak economy and less worried about price rising. And I can't judge you for that either. Everybody has their own situation, but I'm worried about prices. Like the Fed wants 2%. Sometimes 2% is unreasonable, though. It's very difficult. If we're within a range of that, like 2.3, 2.5%, that's honestly pretty reasonable. Price rises month to month, and so it's not terrible, to be honest, but it's nuanced. And I'm not really talking about the month over month rise in inflation. I'm talking about how much stuff has gone up in 5 years since 2020. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's not 9% either. That 9% was an interesting time in markets. CPI inflation was like 9.2%. It got to a point where the market feared inflation so bad that any strong labor market, this was a few years ago, but it got to the point where any strong labor market would cause these big negative reactions in markets. Like we'd have a strong labor market, like a strong jobs report. It'd be like payrolls came in at 200K, market would dump down like 3-4%. It was chaos. It was fun. It was interesting, but it wasn't fun. The outcome wasn't fun, but experiencing that type of market where it freaks out about strong economics is interesting for sure. Good morning, beginner trading. John, as from the tariffs, the CPI should be higher. What do you think? I mean, in theory, yeah, but sometimes it just doesn't go like that. In theory, sure, but sometimes that's not how it goes. In theory, yes, we should have or we should have higher prices, but sometimes it's not that easy, and we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, I'm very neutral politically. I hope nobody comes on the stream and takes something out of context and thinks I'm like shilling for either side, because I'm not. I dislike all of it. All I'm saying is that if I had to pick one, a weak economy or high prices, I'm going to pick a weak economy. I'd rather us be in a weak economy and have price stability, personally. And I say it once, I'll say it again. People used to make 70, 80K a year, and that used to be like great. Making 70, 80K, that used to be like, man, now people who make that, I mean, I'm not judging, but that's not as much as it once was. And a lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck, making that. And so that should scare everybody, and you should want price stability regardless of anything. I'm not cheering on a recession. I'm saying I want price stability. And again, it's all love. It's all good. I'm not disagreeing, or I'm not rooting for anybody. At 2.5% CPI savings evaporate in 40 years. Also, the government. I mean, yeah, we could take a look at it. Y'all want to see what inflation does to everything? This is why I fear prices going up, right? Like we can take a look at this. Say again, if you got $50,000, right? So you got 50K in savings. It's probably a pretty average amount for anybody over 50. About 50,000 in savings. Not anybody, but a lot of people over 50. A lot of the corporate world over 50, they got at least 50,000 in savings. If you have 2.5% inflation, right? Over time, this is going to erode that 50K. And so if you wait 25, 30 years, let's say 30 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. In 25 years, we could do 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to lose over half of your money in 30 years to that inflation. So what that means is that $50,000 in 30 years, on average, if we maintain the current inflation rate, in 30 years, you're going to have about 24,000, 23,500 of today's buying power in 30 years is what this means, which is pretty standard, right? And this is why you invest in things generally. I'm going to put this out there though. Look, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee a thing. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Now, with that said and out the way, this is pretty standard inflation rate. It's why you got to invest in something. So if you don't invest in something, you lose money over time. But with that said, we can do that same thing. And let's say we got a 6% inflation rate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Here's 30 years. So if we got 6% inflation in 30 years, or no, I'm sorry, hold on. Whoa. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, yeah, this was right. So in 30 years, that 6% inflation is going to only be about $8,000 in today's buying power. $50,000 is going to be about $8K. Yeah, that's a scary thing, chat. That's a scary thing. This is why you invest. You have to invest in something. If you don't stick your money in something over a long period of time, chat, you lose it. You know, you can stick it in the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Can't guarantee anything. They might all crash tomorrow, but on average, they do about 7 to 10% a year. So you will beat even 6% inflation if you invest most of the time, at least on average, at least judging by the last century of market data. And so you can buy gold, you could invest in real estate, you can do whatever you want to do. But if you don't put your money into something, inflation will eat it over time. It's the overarching point I'm trying to make. Anyways, NVIDIA now slightly green on the day. NVIDIA up to 144s. NVIDIA CEO changes tune on quantum computing. D-Wave, Rigetti, and other stocks are rising up because NVIDIA changed the tune on these. Supermicro also explained the Blackwell-powered AI infrastructure portfolio to accelerate developments overseas in Europe. NVIDIA and somebody help me understand this company and how to say it. SIEMENS. So NVIDIA and them expand the collaboration on industrial AI and digitalization. I don't know what kind of company that is, but I'm just going to call it Simmons. NVIDIA and Simmons expanded collaboration on industrial AI and digitalization. That's causing NVIDIA to rise up a little bit as well. Looking at market news. Again, we did have mortgages go up a little bit, higher interest rates. Chewy reported earnings this morning. They posted better than expected EPS and revenue. Is this your permanent setup? No, I'm overseas. Or I'm not overseas. I'm not home right now. Siemens. Yeah. Prime says I need to hurry up and apply. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. It's an old appliance company. Okay, cool. Yeah, never really. Yeah, I don't know about them. I don't invest in them. You're right, John. That's why I invested in real estate stocks, gold, and more. It's always good to invest. Yeah, just diversifying. I mean, you might lose short term. Anything could happen. But over a long run, it's incredibly consistent, man. Like investing over the long run, it's hard not to make money long-term investing. And this is why it's not that I try to shame shorts. It's I try to tell them you can short-term, pun intended, I guess. But long-term, if you're shorting blue chip investments, probably not the smartest move, you know. But everybody's different. Hey, maybe they're making money. I don't know. Yeah, I hear AMD is rising up too. No, AMD's actually slightly red. UK's Chancellor Reeve says funding for borders will increase by 280 million euro per year, or pounds per year. UK's Reeve says defense spending will reach 2.6% of GDP by April of 27. He's speaking right now, but there we go. It's better. Okay, yeah. Make sure we got 1080 if we want it. Okay, cool. I'm up 22% year to date. Frederick says, he said, I cashed out two-thirds of my positions and staying away from this crazy market. Yeah, I mean, I feel you, bro. I don't know, dude. I think something that I see happen, and I think I'm going to preface it with, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not a market professional. Do not copy me. I'm not liable if you lose. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I think when you look at markets, a very similar thing generally happens over the last 20 years, I'll say. Market has negative catalysts, drops 20, 30%, crashes 20 or 30%. At the bottom of that crash, most people say, hey, it's not over yet. It's not over. It's going to keep dropping. It's going to keep dropping. We should be scared. We should be scared. It's going to keep dropping. It's going to keep dropping. Market then ends up retracing all the way back up to the previous highs. And then people who thought we would crash there generally do not trust it and miss out on some of the rebounding markets. And then sometimes we break highs again and we keep running up some more. And a lot of people just don't get in. It's one of the reasons I think like DCAing is the move in investing. You know, obviously DCAing, I mean, you don't have to ask me, you can ask Warren Buffett, but DCAing is the move. You know, and diversify. Like, I'm a big believer in diversification because it protects you from risk. Even if you're wrong short term, if you DCA into it and diversify, you're probably going to be fine. The people who lose the most are generally people that get really one-dimensional with their trading or with their investing. Like, they invest into one specific industry, one specific niche. When it corrects, you know, and I think we are, and I've said this many times before, but we're in the middle of a tech revolution right now. AI is the next big thing, and we get these kind of tech revolutions once every 15 years or so. We had them with smartphones in the mid to late 2000s. We had them with the internet before that. Before that, we had them with computers in the 80s. Now we're in the middle of the AI boom, you know, and this is the AI boom, and AI is that next big game-changing thing for technology, you know. And a lot of people missed out on it, man. They didn't trust it. They were scared of it. They missed out on it. But AI is obviously the next big thing for technology, and I think you have to theorize this way, in which you have to look at it objectively. You have to be objective and say, hey, what does AI look like in 20 years? If you could do that thought experiment, it should become pretty clear that AI is going to be freaking crazy in 20 years. And what does that mean for technology? It means growth. It means money. And so I don't know what the market's going to do short term, but I know long term is probably going up pretty big as AI continues to become more and more of a thing. And it already has, honestly. That's why the market's really resilient to the latest, to the last micro crash we had earlier this year, is because AI is such a powerful thing, you know. You could also argue the other end of it, though. You could say, hey, the internet was a big, powerful thing, but in the dot-com crash caused one of the longer bear markets in history. True. It's true. You never know. Yeah, I mean, I think AI is that next big thing. Jason says, I think it's comparable now to the dawn of the internet in the 90s. Somebody else said, I need inflation numbers to miss so I can load up on call options. Are you buying the dip if we go down, if we have high inflation? Let me know. Supermicro, where's that at, man? I haven't seen SMCI in a minute. It's up back up to 40s. The problem with Supermicro is it's just so volatile here. Like, this thing went up to 120s, came all the way back down to $18, went all the way back up to 67, but all the way back down to 27, and now it's at 40, you know. Highly volatile, huge percentage swings. I just don't know if I have the guts for that, bro. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if I have the cojones to trade this thing. CPI is not out yet. It comes out in 35 minutes or so. It's way more of a 3D chess game. Kevin says, I took calls yesterday on MU thinking we get a deal done for AI chips plus that chart holding a couple weeks out. Hope I'm correct. Hey, good luck, brother. I mean, I tend to think they want to get a deal done and that they're going to try to get one done. You never know, though. You don't lose in real estate. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big believer in real estate. You know, people don't like it because it's not passive, right? But it's diversified. I like real estate because it's diversified. Even if prices drop, you pay less taxes, so your margins are still getting better in one way, or at least. And prices are typically going up over time, you know? Prices are going up over time. Typically, home prices are incredibly consistent as long as you buy it in the right spot. Like if you buy it in a neighborhood that's kind of, you know, deteriorating, that's obviously risky, you know. But if you buy it in the right spot, real estate's incredibly powerful, you know. And not just that, like, there's a lot of tax advantages to real estate. Ask your CPA. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not liable, but you can buy a house, refinance it. There's a real estate method called the BRRRR method. It's called buy, renovate. It's buy, renovate, refinance, repeat, I think is what it is. I might be missing an R. Buy, renovate, refinance, repeat, BRRRR. And so basically you buy a house, you renovate it to fix it up, to increase the value of it, you refinance it, and then you use that money that you refinanced it with to buy another rental property, and you do the exact same thing. And before you know it, as long as house prices continue to go up and you're buying in the right areas, you should be pretty good in that each tenant will pay off the next tenant's house, basically. You know, if that makes sense, to the previous tenant's house, however you want to look at it. But there is risks, though, right? Like, this method seems good. There's risks. The risks specifically are if house prices don't rise. If we get a stagnant real estate market for a decade or longer, are you going to be able to supplement those payments? And so, but generally, I think over time, as long as you can supplement those payments and keep up with it, your houses will get paid off for free over time, basically, using that method. But there's a lot of nuance, like interest. You got to have good credit. You got to, you know, there's a lot of ways, but. Right. I like real estate a lot. Yeah. That's why I always tell people, like, and there's tax advantages to real estate. So a lot of people, what they do is they buy a house cash, and then they they buy a house cash, and then they get a home equity line of credit, and then they use that home equity line of credit to pay for things tax free. You know. And again, I'm not an accountant. Ask your accountant. Can't guarantee anything. Not a tax professional. But there's a lot of benefits to it. Just, talk to a CPA. Right. Yeah, I've got my real estate license as well, although it's not active right now, I'm pretty sure. All right, anyways, guys, let's talk about CPI. Big news today. Again, the ongoing trade talks between the US and China are big focus. A lot of people are hoping that the easing of technology export controls in exchange for rare earth minerals happens. That's good for Nvidia, obviously. The market is watching for developments to see if this 90-day pause on tariffs, we're getting pretty close to the expiration, and businesses have indicated that tariff uncertainty is making forecasting, planning, business in general increasingly difficult. Again, in terms of economic data, we've had a lot of people ask me about economics over the past couple months. It's pretty mixed. Honestly, it's pretty mixed. The jobs report was strong last Friday. That was good. We've got some really bad, like Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation reports. We've had some reports show weak labor markets. Other reports show strong labor markets. Inflation is back and forth. Right now, it's pretty reasonable at 2.5%, but we'll see where that goes. A lot of people are pushing for rate cuts with the current administration. And again, I'll say this, right? Like I talked about this a little bit earlier, and my argument was that I would rather us have price stability, even if it means economic weakness. And I still feel the same way. But I also think, per the data, you could probably argue at least a 25 basis point cut. My preference would be if we continued QT, but also did a 25 basis point cut. It's just balance. Be kind of like a pause, but just balance. Continue QT, do a 25 basis point cut. What I don't want to see is economic stimulus, because that a lot of the time causes more inflation than anything. When the Fed does quantitative easing, which is a form of money printing in which they create online bank reserves, and then they use those online bank reserves to buy up a bunch of bonds and MBSs, basically, which is their balance sheet. This injects liquidity and brings interest rates down in a more desperate way. Like if the Fed really wants interest rates to drop fast, like let's say we get huge signs of a looming recession, that's when the Fed might step in and do QE. But the problem is that QE can cause much more inflation than like a normal non-QE situation. And so I'm okay with like a small cut if they want to ease into cuts, see what happens. I just don't want them to jump in, do 50 consecutively meeting to meeting, and as well as do QE to try to stimulate us from a labor market that doesn't really look weak right now. Jobs came in at 170K. That's not really bad for May. I mean, it's not really terrible. It's pretty strong, and it's better than expected too. Maybe it was 139 or something, actually. I have to go back and look at what the non-farm payroll report was last time, but it wasn't terrible. It was better than expected. Three borrowers. I'm seeing some breaking news. 3 borrowers are reportedly considering new U.S. investment grade bond issuance following on from U.S. CPI, according to Bloomberg, citing sources. Yeah, and again, recent economic data showed mixed signals. The May jobs report came in better than expected, easing concerns about sharp economic slowdown. Manufacturing employment has gone down, though, reflecting tariff stuff. The Fed's future interest rates are heavily tied to inflation, specifically PCE, but also CPI, like today. Probability of a July cut has dropped substantially, although it's still looking like we're going to cut in September. Expectations for 1 or 2 rate cuts in the later half of 2025 this year are still there, so people are still thinking we're going to cut at least a couple times this year. The Fed has taken a wait-and-see approach. And then again, in corporate news, we've had a lot of NVIDIA news recently come out in microchips, showing optimism in microchips, partnerships, and deals done with microchip companies, specifically NVIDIA, a lot this morning. We also had Paramount Global. It's dropping its U.S. workforce by 3.5% as the streaming wars go, intensify. ENPH shares jump on possible roadblocks in the Senate for legislation that could eliminate solar tax credits for ENPH. A lot of semiconductor stocks are also up on just optimism from easing potentially export restrictions if they get a deal done. AMD and On Semi are up. And yeah, we got some other stock news, but home sellers are worried as listing hit a record value. So listings hit a record value, indicating a growing gap between sellers and buyers. And so in real estate, you have what's called buyer and seller markets. This is a buyer's market is what this is saying right here. So buyer's markets, the battle between buyers and sellers. Buyers are having more options for homes in a buyer's market. So in a buyer's market, there's more homes on the market than there is buyers, basically, as opposed to a seller's market where there's more buyers than sellers. And so it means that buyers can pick their home because there's so much inventory on the market, and that dynamic is getting worse, right? So homes are sitting for longer. There's more homes on the market. Look at this spike up. Whoa. Let's see if there's some news breaking. So we got some breaking news, I'm assuming here. Wow. Look at this spiking up here for everything here. Wow. Let's see if we got some breaking news here, chat. Huge moves just now. Whoa. The president says a court ruling that ruled U.S. can use tariffs to protect itself against other countries. That's already out. Something else had to happen here. I see Russia's primary offline oil refining capacity revised up by 21%. Trying to see what's going on here. A deal with China is done, according to the president. The president says a deal with China is done. A deal with China is done, they say. Yeah, they say a deal with China is done. Wow. Wow, that's great news. So a deal with China is done, they say. Microchip stocks rising. But honestly, we're kind of contracting a little bit. Again, breaking news, they say a deal with China is done. I'll put this up on screen, but man, that's great if that's true. U.S. president says a deal with China is currently done. Markets originally reacted really favorably to this and then came all the way back down to 602s on the SPY. NVIDIA at 143s, breaking lows. NASDAQ breaking down as well. Wow. All right, so the president said this. He said, we are getting 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. Deal with China is done. Relationship is excellent. Our deal with China done, subject to Xi's approval. So that is what's going on. He said we are getting 55% tariffs. He said we're getting 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. Relationship is excellent. And then he also said our deal with China is done, subject to Xi's approval. Interesting. Markets are slowly reacting favorably. I wonder if we're going to retrace higher. I mean, a deal is good in general, but yeah, pending the approval is probably what pushed it back down again. Solid intel. I mean, yeah, I mean, this is from, yeah, this is legit. I mean, this is true. But I think I mean, everything I just said is what everybody's reporting. Okay, so let's break this down real quick, huh? All right, so he said we are getting 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. This statement refers to the reciprocal tariffs that have been a cornerstone of the U.S.-China trade dispute. The current administration has sought to impose higher tariffs on goods entering the U.S. than China imposes on U.S. goods. Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, though, like, hold on. All right, so he said, yeah, so Chinese goods, they're going to have a 55% tariff. Products imported from China into the U.S. are going to be 55%. I mean, that's still not good. That's probably why the market didn't react this way. 55% is still freaking high. China's getting 10%. It means products imported from the U.S. into China, which honestly is not that much, are going to be 10%. So if you are a U.S. company exporting products to China, your products will be subject to 10%. If you are a Chinese company importing things into the U.S., 55%. That's still pretty bad for consumer prices, no? Because we buy a lot of stuff from China. Like, again, we are one of their biggest buyers of goods. We are, in fact, their largest buyer of Chinese goods in the world. At around, I think it's like 12 to 15%, although we're starting to see some positive reactions here. And so this is just an interesting thing. We'll see what happens here, chat. Hey, dude, no. Go upstairs. Hey, no, go upstairs.
I need to plug my phone in.
Okay, go plug it in upstairs, buddy.
There's no charger here.
Here, you can't mess with that over there. You can't mess with that over there, buddy. All right, buddy. Hey, listen, I love you. Here. Jack, man. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys. I kind of had to chew my son out a little bit just now. Anyways, markets are starting to rebound back up. We're at 603s. NASDAQ is at 21,965s. Yeah, my son just doesn't listen. He's a good kid, though. I love him, but he doesn't listen. Yeah, it's family first, but my son's got to listen. I'm just telling him, hey, don't come in here. I'm not one of those people that wants my kids all over the internet. I'm just not really one of those people. kids know when news is about to be released. At least it's not Carol calling at 8, you know, right at 8:30. Yeah. The timer is right here. My bad, guys. Here's the timer right here. Here's the timer right here. We got 17 minutes left. 17 minutes. Let's be ready here, chat. Let's be ready. There's the timer right there. Again, CPI inflation drops at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in about 17 minutes. We got about 2,000 people here. Yeah, man. I mean, I always preface, like, I'm a big believer in, like, hitting them with kindness first. I think if you approach things from a kind perspective or a good perspective and then say difficult things, people hear you more. So if you say, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, but clean up your freaking room, you know, they're more likely to do it. Even if you're having if you're having hard conversations with anybody, with family, with friends, and the conversation is difficult, you start off by saying good things. You say, hey, I appreciate you so much. You know, I really value you in my life, but you got to cut this out. You know, that's how you do it. Communication 101, beginner communication here. You're welcome, guys. I'm gonna start charging you guys for this. Yeah, I don't know if the timing is suspicious. I know they've been in London for the last few days trying to get a deal done. I think this announcement was coming regardless of what day it is, specifically CPI. I don't think that context means much. You know, if anything, I don't know if this deal is necessarily great. I think it could have been better. I think 55% tariff on Chinese goods is still pretty freaking high. And, I know they said, 10% on goods imported to China from the US, but, you know, let's just be honest here. We don't really import anything from here to there. Not really, not significant things. And so I don't think that means much. Yeah, those tactics dealing with kids, probably the most important. I mean, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and so they're going to argue regardless. Yeah. So, like, the 15-year-old's going to argue regardless. But as you get older, it's just a good communication tactic. Yeah, sweetness of speech increases persuasiveness. 100%. You are a great dad. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I try to tell my kids they've got it freaking made. They're good kids, though. They really are. They're both sweet kids, like kind kids. They have empathy. They have sympathy. They care about people and things, which is the most important. You don't want your kid to grow up and be a sociopath, you know? And so you got to make sure they care about people and things. And the way you do that is you show them love, you know? It's nature versus nurture. You make them feel taken care of. You show them love, and they'll probably be good kids. If you're cold and mean to them, you know. Yeah. Anyways, CPI inflation data coming out. We have 15 minutes, a little bit less than that now. Again, there's a couple things we want to talk about in this inflation report. And so we got 55% tariffs is what they said. Let's talk about it. So headline versus core, these are the things you want to pay attention to in this report. And we talked about this earlier. The market's actually starting to turn down a little bit. So we're turning down some on this report. Headline CPI gives a broad overview. Core CPI is often more closely watched by the Fed as it provides a clearer picture of underlying inflation. Remember, base CPI includes food and energy prices, which can be some of the most volatile prices in markets. Core CPI is often more closely watched by the Fed and others. It excludes food and energy and gives a clearer picture of underlying inflation trends. Today, core CPI, here, let me move this comment out of the way. There we go. Today, core CPI is expected at 0.3%, month over month, which is an uptick, I think, from 0.2% last month. They're expecting 0.3% this month. And then year over year core CPI is expected at 2.9% today. Last time it was 2.8%. So they are expecting, in specifically core metric, an uptick of 0.1% year over year and month to month. Regular CPI, they're expecting a 0.1% uptick, I think. Yeah, so regular CPI is expected 0.2% month over month, so flat month to month, but year over year is expected to uptick from 2.3 to 2.5%. And so essentially, in all these different CPI inflation metrics, they're expecting slight increases to inflation month over month and year over year. And so we'll see what that looks like. I think inflation right now in this current market is incredibly relevant, incredibly important. And it's just something that you do want to pay attention to. Like, you want to pay attention to this. This is going to influence Fed decisions and all that stuff. So you do want to listen to this. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, CJ. I mean, look, I'm not a perfect parent, you know. I try, but I'm not perfect. I do believe, though, and what I try to teach my kids is, like, you get what you put out there. You put out a bunch of negativity into the world, you're probably going to get it back. If you're good to people and you treat people well, I believe you get it back, man. I really do. I think it's cyclical. It's reciprocal, I should say, maybe. But I believe you get it back, you know. And so I know some people are like cheap and mean and they don't treat people well. And, like, you know what I mean? I feel like you get it back if you put it out there, you know. All right, so JP Morgan, that was early this morning. Hold on. UK MTO says vessels are advised to transit the Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and Straits of others with caution. Subject to approval by China and me, I think he said. Which hasn't happened yet, as far as I know anyway. Yeah, for sure. It definitely hasn't happened yet. We'll see. We got 10 minutes until CPI comes out, chat. 10 minutes. Look at the NASDAQ start to pop up. So the NASDAQ's at 21,942s. Why is tech dropping so hard? Well, it's not that tech is dropping. It's that originally from the CPI report, we got a really positive reaction. We got up to 145 in NVIDIA. SPY bumped up to like 603s. You can take a look at the SPY, or 603, 604s. NASDAQ popped up to almost 22,000 on the breaking news of a trade deal with China. Then the details started coming out. They said it was subject to final approval, and then that hadn't really happened yet. And so it wasn't a finalized deal, even though the literal quote was a trade deal with China is done, you know. So it's kind of a little bit of a fake out where it's like, oh, a trade deal's done. People started buying up stuff. NASDAQ went up, SPY went up, NVIDIA went up. And then it basically came out that it wasn't done. But that was close to being finished, which is an optimistic thing. I tend to think it's still good, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we got the SPY, NVIDIA. Let's take a look at gold here. Gold's starting to shoot up a little bit on uncertainty. So look at gold rise. Gold up to 33.61s. Yeah, we're going to stream the news. The news is at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in 9 minutes. My stream is literally titled CPI Inflation Data 8:30. You know. Of course, we're going to stream the news. It also might say it right here. I wonder if inflation is going to come in bad and if the president wanted to fluff it with that news. I don't know if that news had anything to do with it. I think they've been in London for the last few days trying to get a deal done. And so I think that news was probably coming regardless of whether today's CPI inflation data. I'm pretty sure you could trade on Top Step during these big events, but who knows, man. Always great content. Thanks. Hey, thank you, Music. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. What's up, Sass? Wonder why market is slightly down. Because he said they reached a deal. He said they reached a deal, but then he also came out and said we are getting 55% tariffs. Like basically Chinese goods imported into the US are going to be 55% marked up with levies. China's only getting 10%, but we don't really import anything from China. So that's kind of a nothing burger, if you want to say it. The president did say the relationship is excellent with China and that our deal with China is done subject to the Chinese leaders' approval. So basically, he said the deal's done, and then he went back and said it's subject to their approval, which means the deal's not done. And that's why we went up a lot and then retraced back down. Again, we got 7 minutes left until inflation data, about 7 minutes left. Again, let's talk about categories of inflation that you want to pay attention to. So you want to pay attention to housing costs, rent, owner's equivalent rent, big component of CPI, and have been a big driver of inflation. Pay attention to whether shelter inflation is going up or moderating, slowing. A big story today with the buyer's market dynamic of real estate going up a lot. More homes are sitting longer and longer. And honestly, personally, what I did last year, what I'll probably do this year is I'll go around putting a bunch of low ball offers in at real estate with cash to see if I could scoop up some cheap rental properties. Last year I basically went around and I put out like 6 offers, way under list price, like substantially under list, and finally got one accepted, way under list price. So again, excluded from core CPI, gas, food, energy, something you want to pay attention to. Large swings in these can cause problems. I think the market with 6 minutes left, chat, might start to chop here. Like we might get a choppy sideways dynamic leading into this report. Analysts are going to be looking for sign of tariff impacts, which show up primarily in goods prices. However, stickiness of service inflation like medical care, transportation, a big component. The extent to which tariffs are beginning to feed into the CPI is a major uncertainty on this report. If the report shows clear evidence of tariff-related price increases, it could complicate the Fed's easing plans this year. They want to cut rates at least once this year, maybe twice. But if inflation comes in heated, that ain't good, and that's going to drive back those expectations of rate cuts. The immediate reaction will largely depend on how the reported figures compare to estimates. So any significant surprise, either higher or lower, will lead to shifts in bond yields, the US dollar, and equities like the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, gold. And yeah, let's watch it right now. Bond yields are at about, 4.5% this morning? Looking at our poll here, we asked people this morning, does CPI inflation come in higher or lower? Out of over 2,000 votes, 47% think higher, 30% think lower, 23% think as expected. We got 3,000 viewers here. We still got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Trying to catch up on chat, but the chat's moving quickly. Gold will rise if CPI is negative. Do you mean negative meaning higher inflation or lower? Higher inflation will make gold go up, most likely. We don't know for sure, though. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Hey, thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. All right, chat. 4 minutes. We got about 4 minutes. CPI tanking, gas $135 a gallon. Yeah, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream, chat. We got this coming very soon. Very soon. 3 minutes. Yeah, so the president says that China will supply rare earths in the done deal, according to CNBC. Rare earths, done deal, according to CNBC. All right, guys, we got about 2.5 minutes left. About 2.5 minutes. All right, about 2 minutes left, chat. Yeah, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We cover this live breaking every single time it drops. We get thousands of people here. We got over 3,000. We'll probably have close to 4 or greater whenever this report actually comes out. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Let's grow. And we cover it as soon as it drops. That's why people tune into this stream. We got 2 minutes left, chat, 2 minutes. Make sure you hit the live button next to the play button. You could also put it in 2x speed. We're going to cover this as soon as it drops. We got the NASDAQ on the right, the SPY in the middle, gold on the left. And again, we're going to cover it as soon as it drops. Remember, expectations. I'm going to move this so you can guys watch the charts a little bit clear. It's 55% tariff on Chinese goods imported into the U.S. is what it is. We got 1.5 minutes left, chat. 1.5 minutes. Here we go. Be ready here. 2 minutes left. Really, actually, I'm sorry, 1 minute and 10 seconds left. And we're going to do a countdown. Again, if you put it in 2x speed, it'll keep up. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Let's do this. We got 1 minute. Exactly 1 minute. All right, chat, we got 30 seconds. All right, guys, we got 10 seconds. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the report. Okay, the NASDAQ and everything is up big right now on this report. Big. CPI showed 0.1% month over month, 2.4% year over year, 0.1% month over month, 2.4% year over year. Core CPI showed 2.8% year over year, 0.1% month over month. So lower than expected universally here. Universally lower than expected. Every single metric was lower than expected. 0.1% for core and regular month over month. Again, 0.1% for core and regular month over month. Core showed 0.1% as well here. Year over year showed 2.4% versus 2.5% expected. 2.4% versus 2.5% expected. And then again, core year over year showed 2.8%. So lower than expected there as well. 2.8% versus 2.9% expected. So better than expected everywhere. Again, better than expected everywhere here, chat. Wow. Kind of crazy here. Look at the market rip up. NASDAQ getting very close to all-time highs. Where's all-time highs on the NQ? Gold's pushing up. SPY's pushing up. Where's all-time highs on the SPY? 613's all-time highs. We're back up to 605, 606. NASDAQ up to 22.1 basically. 22.1 tapped on the NASDAQ here. Flying up. Better than expected inflation data everywhere basically. Literally everywhere. We'll put this up on screen just so you can see it, but literally everywhere. Better than expected inflation data here. Better everywhere. 0.1%. Here's the banner if you want to see it. Here's all of it right here. Better than expected. Literally everywhere. Markets are up big. Inflation data is good. Will we get a rate cut right now, chat? Let's take a look at bond yields and what they're doing. But NASDAQ is up big. Everything is up very big. Let's take a look at bond yields. I'm curious. Okay, 10-year treasury yields as of now, as we speak, after this report, are all the way up, or all the way back down, showing a lower interest rate sentiment. Remember, yields and interest rates follow each other. Yields have decreased a little bit now. They've dropped all the way down to 4.45%. This morning, they were up over 4.5%. Look at yields fall down, showing a lower interest rate sentiment because yields and interest rates follow each other. Lower interest rate sentiment. And so, again, good inflation data here, chat. Wow. Very good. Very good. CPI showed better than expected literally everywhere. Good. Also, guys, if you want to check out Top Step, we're going to be day trading futures on Top Step this morning. There's no PDT in futures. If you want to day trade, do not fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars. You're probably going to lose it. Regardless of where you go, you're probably going to lose day trading. Most day traders lose. Makes no sense to fund your own account if most day traders lose their first year or two. Instead, try a funded account program, regardless of what you hear. Top Step's the most legit in the world. They've paid people hundreds of thousands of dollars. They fund thousands of traders. They have some of the best rules in the game. And if you use Top Step X, you get zero commission. Tiny amount of fees per trade, literally tiny amount of fees. And so they give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you can pass their test, the base one, you got to make 3K without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions. If you can pass that test, they fund you 50K with a 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K prior to that split kicking in, which is similar to funding your own account, chat. If you fail, you're out $50 for the base one. There's also a 100K one, 150K one. It's 100 and 150 bucks a month. And so if you fail, you're out $50, $100. It's not the end of the world. Limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account. And in the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. Just a beautiful way to learn in a structured environment like that. And it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And most traders lose, regardless of where they go. But I'm biased because I get paid by them, but genuinely useful for traders. And so they're an affiliate of mine. I'm biased because I get paid by them. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link up in the chat. This is the first plug we've done all stream. Here's the link right there if you want to check it out. Not an investment professional. Understand CFTC 4.41. But yeah, there's the link right there if you want to check it out. We'll also pin it to the top of the chat. But yeah, market's starting to rebound back up, man. This is great inflation data, honestly. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. We're not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. There's the link pinned to the top of the chat. Look at gold. Honestly, what's surprising is that gold is going up with it, right? Look at the SPY, the NASDAQ, and then gold is honestly kind of following it up here, which is interesting. Like, look at gold. Look at gold. So gold is going up with lower inflation. Interesting. Let's day trade this morning, guys. We're going to day trade right now. Oh, wait. Temporary maintenance. So can I trade right now? Oh, well. I'm trying to trade with you guys. Hold on. Let me put this up. Man, look at the market, though, man. This is interesting. Look at gold fly up. SPY flying up. Where's NVIDIA right now? NVIDIA's up to 145s. NVIDIA is the one I want to see if it hits all-time highs. Yeah, gold's going up with the NASDAQ. Usually it's been inversing recently. Yeah, look at gold. Rip up. It's almost the 3400s here. But yeah, inflation data better than expected, stronger than expected, but man. Yeah, I'm looking at other breaking news here. Traders boost Fed bets, pricing in nearly. Let's take a look at the rate cut expectations here. This is something that I want to look at right now after good CPI inflation data. So, like, look at this. So it's still pretty improbable that we're going to cut. Let's take a look at July now. So at this point in July, we already have a 12.5% likelihood of a cut in July. They still think a cut's coming in September, and the odds are still over 50% for a cut by September here. The Nasdaq's testing highs again here, man. Look at this, crazy. Crazy. This is not a win. This is all the work. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could trade in the UK Habitat, but it's a. I mean, you want to check with them. Just check out the link again. I can't guarantee anything. You want to confirm it all with them, but I did see this news. I'm going to put it in the chat as well. I saw somebody else say it, but U.S. official says the total U.S. tariff rate on I think they misspelled it. Let me fix the spelling here. The total U.S. tariff rate on China. See, I copy and pasted this from somebody else, but on China would be 55%. So we're seeing this breaking news come out as well. U.S. officials say the U.S. total effective tariff rate on China will be 55%. 55%. Yeah, I don't know. Habitat, you got to check with them, brother. 55% is still a lot. I mean, you got to understand the dynamic of this, okay? And this is something I've said many times. We both need each other. The U.S. needs China. China needs the United States. 100%, without question. U.S. needs China. China needs the United States. You better believe they both need each other. Regardless of what either one of them says, I know they're both posturing, being like, nah, we don't need the other one. Obviously, we're the largest buyer of Chinese goods, the largest single buyer of Chinese goods in the world. Of course, they don't want to lose their largest buyer of Chinese goods. And we need Chinese goods. Honestly, if we don't have Chinese goods, our prices are going to go up big time, which is something that, you know, is making everybody worry. That's why we haven't cut rates, is because they're worried that these tariffs are going to make our prices higher. So it's something that you just want to be careful of. You want to be wary of all this stuff. You know, you just got to be careful with this type of stuff and protect yourself, chat. Gold's still increasing here. Look at the Nasdaq. Can I buy right now? I mean, this is good news. This is great news, honestly, but I'm wondering if I can buy right now. It looks strong, of course. You know what? I'm going to take a little feeler trade right here. Okay, so it does let me buy. All right. There we go. Don't you do it. Don't you retrace. It's a little baby trade. We're feeling it, but I could add to it. I don't like this retracement, though. Although I'll probably sit in this and let it work a little bit and see if we get another pop back up. It's volatile right now, but NVIDIA is pushing up towards highs. I'm going to add a little bit to this. See if we pop back up. I can take some profit on a spike and then sit in maybe like one contract here. We got a lot of optimistic stuff this morning. All right, we'll add to it. I'm trying to take some risk in this account. This is another account that I've been sitting on, so we'll play with it. But I'd love to see a move up. Wait, the music stopped. Hold on, chat. My bad. There we go. I'm trying to give it time here to retrace and consolidate before it heads back up, but me buying at the highs probably ain't the best move. I'll cut it, I guess, but we'll cut half of it and let this part work. Robinhood net deposits came in at 3.5 billion for May as well. It's another thing. We're coming back down too quickly here. Everything's starting to turn. I'll just wait. Yeah. Gold is pumping up too. That's probably an interesting dynamic of like, should you approach this? I don't know. Starting to see some pullbacks here. I'll probably put my main account up. Let me make sure this isn't my main one. Hold on. Pretty sure it's not. Yeah, this isn't my main one. Good. So we'll put my main one up here. Hold on, I'm trying to get it to load. It's kind of struggling to load. Where'd it go? Got too many windows up here. Test, test. I know you can hear me. I got a different set of headphones right now. Hold on. Let me try to fix this.
Testing this.
Oh, I see what I did. I accidentally muted my mic here. My bad, guys. I fixed it. We're back. We're running. Everything's smooth. Okay, good. I was about to panic here. I was like, not again, bro. The other day it did this, and it like screwed me up. We're here. Accidentally muted my mic. Okay, so we're back here. We got a double bottom right around this 2240 level, but we're over 22, which I think is a great kind of support level. And it's a level that I kind of want to attack if we could find some good stuff here. Getting a nice little pop back up. See if we squeeze higher, what happens here. Honestly, we've made a lot of money back on the other account too. How you guys doing? Let me see. Are you guys red or green this morning? So negative inflation at every single report for the past 5 months. Yeah, but I mean, so I see 77 Thomas say negative inflation at every single report for the past 5 months. If Powell doesn't cut in June, he should be, I don't know if I agree with that, because again, it's not just about having low inflation to justify rate cuts. Do we have a weak enough economy to justify rate cuts? That's going to be the argument. And I don't know. I think the labor market that we got on Friday is strong. And I think that's going to be his argument as well, is that the labor market's strong. We don't necessarily need rate cuts. Yeah, CPI is out. Yeah, CPI is out. Here, let me hide the current comment. Here's CPI inflation data right here. It showed 0.1%. It showed lower than expected, essentially almost universally here today, chat. Lower than expected. Yeah, so it showed lower than expected. Yeah, so it showed lower than expected everywhere, basically 0.1% or more. Look at this big decrease, though, coming in. But yeah, it showed lower than expected basically everywhere. Look at this dip. We're at 22 force. Do I want to buy this? I'm going to try buying one little micro contract here. It's a big scary candle. I think we could get some squeezes back up real quick. But we'll see. Haven't had the best results today, and it's kind of volatile right now. The range is big. I like 22,000 though. That's the only reason I'm being a little bit more careful here, is because I like 22,000 as a support level, but we keep dropping. I'm gonna have to cut this. I'm not gonna let it go down too much. Okay, that's better. I'll add one here. It's better. The problem is markets keep falling down, so I'm going to cut one and then let the last one sit maybe for a second. But we're close to flat on both the accounts we traded on today. I don't like that retracement. So we break this low one more time. I'm going to cut it immediately. Yep. Just giving it all back here, guys. Giving it all back. Yeah, we're going to be day trading the opening bell live here, chat. Let me see what I want to do here. Hold on. I got to save a word. Dude, they still have WordPad here. How great is that? Honestly, on my other computer, they got rid of WordPad, dude. I'm kind of mad about it. All right, so let's see if we get a bounce back up. I'll try to play this here. I don't believe it's going to fill the whole gap. I think we might get a dip and then a retracement back up. But I think the news is good enough to justify it. But I think increasing odds of rate cuts is good. There we go. All right, take half off there. Protect it. What a quick fall down, though, man. We just get rejected quick here. See, what's weird is gold is coming back down with us here, too. So we're about flat on this position now. We made 15 or 20, and now we're down 15 or 20. What's weird is gold is coming down with us. I want to see if NVIDIA pops back up, though. We got the 200 exponential way down here at 22 or so, but 22 is right here. That's the only reason I want to buy it, is because I tend to think we're going to bounce at 22. So I might take a risk and buy into 22 here and just let it ride. You know, we're going to try that. We're close enough to 22 where I'm going to add to this here. We might actually add a third one. Okay, there's a pop. Good, green. I'm trying to catch a falling, I don't know if it's a falling knife because we're actually kind of green on the day. But I'm trying to watch NVIDIA to see what NVIDIA keeps doing. We're kind of flat now in this position. See if we can go green. These red candles are just big, though. We continue to break down. I want to see if 22 holds, but maybe I got in a little bit early for 22 support. We'll wait. I mean, this isn't too bad. All right, so we're basically flat in this position. I want to see if it goes higher. 22,000 seems to be a big level here. And again, we're green in this account. Not green on the day, but we're green in this account. The other account, we got ourselves flat on the day, which is good. Here we go. That's better. Let it rip up a little bit more, please. Cut it here. Just protect the trade with one, and then that'll give us time to let the rest ride. There we go. Better. Nice. I'm going to cut that there. Bond yields are down because you got to understand bond yields are down. Bond yields are down because interest rates and yields have a positive correlation. And so if interest rates go down, yields go down with it. If or at least sentiment around interest rates is lower. So if yields go up, it means higher interest rate sentiment. If yields go down, it means lower interest rate sentiment. And so whenever we have low inflation data, which opens the door for earlier rate cuts, interest rate sentiment is lower and consequently yields are down. And so that's what it is. Yeah, gold's the interesting one. Like gold's finally coming back down a little bit. We take a look at the SPY. SPY at 604s or so. You're still falling down some here. I want to watch NVIDIA in the SPY to see what they do. They both seem green, but I want to see if a lot of people are speculating that the SPY is going to somehow break all-time highs soon. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm watching for it for sure. And again, this is on Top Step right now. So if you want to day trade with me, I'm trading on Top Step. Great way to learn how to day trade. And if you're good enough as a trader and you want to get started for less, try Top Step. Base one's $50. It's not the end of the world. They process payouts quick. To pass it, you got to make 3K without losing 2K, a reasonable 2 to 3 ratio. If you can do that, they fund you 50K, 90% split. And this is really meant to help new traders learn how to trade. Most day traders lose, regardless of where you go. Frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose on Top Step than it is to fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars and probably lose it, like most day traders end up doing. And the reward is pretty similar, 90% split once you're funded. If you fail, it's out $50, $100, $150. It's not the end of the world. It's just a good way to learn. And again, I'll put the link up another time here. Just a good way to learn how to day trade. But again, I'm not an investment professional. I always try to tell people, like, look, I don't even claim to be a good trader. We're just here. If you want to watch economic reports, data, breaking market news, watch me trade. It's a beautiful place to do it. Good community here. You can check it out. Understand all this stuff on screen, though. I can't guarantee anything. You know, I'm biased, of course, because I get paid by them. But genuinely, it's only the second plug in 3 hours. So. Yeah, well, tomorrow is Robotaxi Day. I think it's the 12th. But again, all Robotaxi, there's not an event on Robotaxi Day. It's more so just, see, part of me wants to buy this again. It's not an event on Robotaxi Day. It's just them implementing the Robotaxis in Austin is what it is. So that's what it is. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what it is. I'm gonna buy. Oh, dude, I was trying to buy the dip, and this thing spiked up as soon as I bought it. It's all right. We'll try to take another squeeze at it. Nvidia is why I'm looking at this, honestly. So if I can buy on like a retracement here, I think it's fine. It's not really where I wanted to buy it, but that's all right. All right, we've been green mostly in this trade, but I want to see if Nvidia retraces that top up there. There we go. I'm gonna take half off there, protect it. And then I'm gonna let this sit. There we go. There we go. Cut that right there. I gotta use limit orders, I think, here, dude. Like, cause my fills are not good right now. Look at that drop here. Wow. And see, what's interesting is like Nvidia is moving higher. Good thing I was out of that one. Let's see if we hold the bottom. We're at this triple bottom right here. We're gonna crack out of this low again. I'm also kind of like playing with a combine right now in the background. Like I want to believe good inflation data is going to make the market go up, but Nvidia just turned. Look at the SPY turn too. U.S. White House official on the 55% tariff on China clarifies that this is not a new escalation in tariffs, according to CNBC. So what does that mean? Did we get a trade deal done or not? Is the tariffs different on them or not? You know? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, here, look, I'll put this, we're trading on a challenge account right now on the background, if you guys want to watch this too. But I kind of bought that big pullback here. I thought it might fake people out, and there's Nvidia rip up. So I might buy this here. This is a challenge account, so the dynamic is different. There we go. Oh. We tried to take profit, but then it retraced so fast we weren't able to, but I'm still buying this. I'm just kind of swinging for the fences here because I got this combine account that I'm not really watching. See, but what's interesting is like Nvidia's moving up. We might fail it, and if we do, it's all good. But we'll go max size here and just play with this one. Nvidia's shooting up, breaking highs of the day. It got up to 145.20s. So we'll see if we can retrace back up there. But if not, it's all good. It's 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. But see, if I can make 3K in profit on this 50K demo without losing 2K first following their rules, that's what I get funded. I think I got a little bit too large a size, though, here, to be honest. I'm going to reduce size. It's just a little bit too large. Let the rest play. Nvidia's correcting too, so here we go. I almost agreed on the size. Let's see if it holds. There it goes. Now we're just kind of choppy. I'm wondering if we're gonna get like updated tariff information on everything going on. You know, they say the 55% is an old percentage, but it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. There we go. There we go. U.S. President Trump says he and China's leader will work closely on trade. I mean, this is all good stuff. It's hard to tell what's real. 55% tariffs on China is good. I don't know if it's good. That's high. I mean, 55% tariffs, not low tariffs. And again, the just to put it in perspective, the tariffs we put on China are much more important than the tariffs they put on us because, frankly, they don't really buy much from us. We buy from them. And so what's going to influence our prices the most is going to be tariffs put on China. And if they're at 55%, that doesn't seem like a small number to me personally. But let me know what you guys think in chat. Yeah, I'm sure if he says yes, if they can lock the deal done, that's good, of course. I'm going to hold the rest of this break even. you just got to be careful because like the drops have been big. So like it goes up it goes up on the stairs and then it takes an elevator down. So you just got to be careful with these drops. I'm watching NVIDIA though. NVIDIA is what I'm watching to climb. That's dragging everything else up, but I'm gonna cut it right there. Made about $70 on that last piece. All right, guys, so we're gonna day trade at the opening bell live. There's a video starting to dip pretty quick. How you guys doing, chat? I'm kind of mixed. I'm red on one account this morning, green on the other, or close to green. We'll see. $10K in 3 days shorting? Yeah, but why would you short? Get a short Bitcoin. Yeah, Circle's been crazy. Chewy had earnings. Will the Chinese leader accept the deal is the question. I don't know. Genuinely don't know. I think it's up in the air. We'll see. Again, 55% tariffs doesn't seem good. So it's kind of confusing to me because it's kind of like, yeah, deal is done. And then you expect like details of like, oh, well, we got lower tariffs with everybody. We're working with everybody. But then it's 55% tariff. So it's a little contradictory. We'll see if they do, like, you know, we'll see if we get more though. It's possible. And stick around. We got 20 minutes into the opening bell. We'll see how that goes. We're starting to head back up, though. We had this big dip, and now we're kind of starting to rebound back up. We'll see how it goes. Oh, let me end the poll. I'm just realizing I forgot to end the poll. All right, so we had 45% think higher, 33% think lower. So most people were wrong on the poll out of almost 4,000 votes. With CPI inflation coming in lower than expected, are you bullish or bearish for today's open? Vote on the poll. Let me know how you feel. That poll's now live. Yeah, for sure, Guy. If you're spending 10K on a short, you better have a good argument for it. All right, SPY, NASDAQ rebounding back up. NVIDIA's still at 145s or so. So we still got some room there, but yeah, I'm trying to look at other breaking news right now. Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters says they're going to respond to the 100% tariff on foreign movies if a specific proposal arises, but nothing material yet. Yeah, so the president also said, quote, adding to the China readout, President Xi and I are going to work closely together to open up China to the American trade. This would be a great win for both countries. So, Effective federal funds rate still 4.33% for yesterday, but we'll see if it changes today after CPI. Yeah, so with BLS staffing levels and CPI data collection under scrutiny, the BLS says it will change its methodology for collecting data on wireless phone service prices. The agency says that starting in July inflation data, BLS will replace the survey data collected for the CPI's wireless telephone service index. The agency writes in a release accompanying the May inflation data. The BLS didn't add information about the reason for the change, but says it will publish a paper on the new methodology in July. Inflation is back on the rise, but at a slower pace than expected, is essentially the story of the day. Yeah, and just taking a look at like the CPI report, since I didn't actually delve deeper into it earlier. So okay, so consumer prices for all urban consumers rose 0.1% in May on a seasonally adjusted basis. Over the last 12 months, 2.4% not seasonally adjusted. Core 0.1%, I'm sorry, in May. Index 2.8%. Food index rose 0.3%. So food increased 0.3%. Both food at home and food away from home indexes also increased 0.3% in May. Over the last 12 months, the food index increased almost 3% at 2.9%. Energy index decreased 1% in May. Gasoline decreased 2.6% month over month in May. Energy index decreased 3.5% over the past 12 months. So oil is down. Shelter index rose 0.3% in May. It was the primary factor in the monthly all items increase. Shelters owners equivalent rent increased 0.3% in rent. Owners equivalent rent increased 0.3 and rent itself increased 0.2%. Other notable increases include motor vehicle insurance up 0.7%, household furnishings and operations up 0.3%, personal care up 0.5%, shelter increased almost 4%, 3.9 year over year. Medical care rose 2.5%. Insurance rose 7%. Natural gas increased 15.3%, and electricity increased 4.5%. Used cars and trucks fell 0.5%. New vehicles decreased 0.3%. Apparel decreased 0.4%. Yeah. So that is the big story. We're going to post this. If you want to see a full breakdown, follow me on x.com @beginnertrades. @beginnertrades. All right, so yeah, we're going to post this here. Food index. We got the food index breakdown too. Shelter. Energy. Again, the shelter index rose 0.3%, the primary factor in all the monthly increases. Owner's equivalent increased 0.3%, and rent and regular rent increased 0.2%. All right, so yeah, we're giving you a full breakdown of this. Gas prices are actually down a little bit. All right, so we're kind of sideways here. We're not really doing much. We got 9 minutes as the market opens. So 9 minutes. Let's see what that looks like. We just posted that CPI inflation breakdown of like everything. Let me catch back up with the chat. Sorry. Where's Palantir at, man? We talked about this a lot the last few days ago. Look, there's 22K. We talked about that hold, and we actually did hold there. Palantir's still up to 134 or so. CPI is already out. If you're talking to me, you want to hit the live button next to the play button. Sounds like you. Oh, you're talking to Fernando. CPI just came out, almost an hour ago. Hit the live button next to the play button, brother. All right, so we're talking to Matt here. Let's take a look. Gotta catch it. I have a friend that lost 2 accounts Monday. Should he get back to it? I said, I better take a week off. Asking for a friend. I think your friend should scale down his size. Well, what do I know? I mean, I don't even claim to be good. I think I'm good, but I'm not claiming to be good. I would scale down size if you're losing accounts like that. It depends on what kind of accounts. Like, you always got to take some risk in some accounts. So it depends on if it's a funded account or if it's an actual account. That's a different thing. Those are different things. Funded account, you can probably take a little bit more risk with to build up an initial set profit. And if you fail, it's not the end of the world. It's kind of how I do it, but everybody's different. I mean, personally, I like starting with the small one, but remember, guys, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee a thing, chat. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. But if it was me, I would take the 50K account because it's the smallest account. It's the cheapest account. You can get started for less. And then if you build up profit, withdraw, then you can fund the other ones. But that's just me. Everybody's different. It's pretty subjective. Yeah, PPI inflation data is tomorrow. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. We got PPI inflation after today's CPI report, which was massive. PPI is big. Yeah, PPI is big. PPI is producer prices. So it's the same side of the inflation coin. One of them is consumer prices. The other one is like business prices, like how much businesses are paying for things. So they're both two sides of the same inflationary token, but all relevant to watch. And we're going to cover it live at 8:30. It's crazy. We almost had 5,000 people here for CPI. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. I really do. Thank you guys so much. Honestly, we've been growing on a X a lot too. It's been fun. All right, so JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon warns U.S. economy could soon deteriorate. This is after earlier in the week they said somebody from JP Morgan thought we would break all-time highs within 2 weeks. So contradictory is what I'm going to say. Now, Dimon might be different from everybody else, but now he warns the economy could deteriorate soon. We'll see if that's true. All right, so NVIDIA just decreased, but we're very flat. I'm waiting for the opening bell here. All right, Treasury Secretary Bassett Fitz for Federal Reserve Chair. He said the president is a loyalty and growth guy, end quote. Didn't he appoint Powell, though? Let me see. Yeah, Powell was nominated by the current president in 2017. So, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I see the Great to see your real organic growth, man. You deserve it. One of the most real, honest financial YouTubes. Hey, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I try to be, man. Like, I try not to sell a course. I try not to sell my own service. The only thing I might sell in the future is like indicators, because I've had some pretty good results programming them. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I try not to sell a course. I try not to claim to be experts. Like, I try to, you know how it goes, man. People end up acting like they're the greatest ever. And you know, a lot of them are following algorithms in the background anyway, and then they're acting like they're subjective trades by them, but really they're just following like alerts by algorithms that they buy or something like that. Like, that's what's happening a lot. But I try to just be honest with people. I think it's easier to tell people, hey, I suck at trading, and then if I do better than that, great. Kind of, if I can outperform that expectation, cool, you know, versus telling everybody I'm the greatest ever. I mean, I'm definitely top 3 greatest ever, top 3 worst ever as well. But if that's how I'd rather run the channel. I think that makes the most sense. That's a lot of pressure, telling everybody how great you are, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems unnecessary, you know? Like, I'd rather just make fun of myself the whole time. And if we could outperform that expectation, great, you know? Anyways, we're about to hit the opening, but I appreciate the support. Thank you, guys. Hey, thank you, MC. Appreciate it, brother. Right, exactly, Michael. 100%. Yeah. But I also don't like drama. Like, I'm not going to critique anybody else either, you know? All right, guys. Hey, we got the opening bell coming soon. 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, so Pantheon on PCE after CPI, they said we provisionally estimate that today's CPI data are consistent with a 0.2% increase in the core PCE deflator, slightly faster than the core CPI because some components are excluded in the PCE calculation in favor of PPI data. So that just came out. All right, so here's the opening bell right now, basically. There it is. All right, so we got dips at the opening bell. We're watching Palantir. We're watching the NASDAQ too. I'm going to put NVIDIA chart up over Palantir, though. See what NVIDIA does. I think NVIDIA is driving the market. NVIDIA's had a tough couple minutes. It's down from 145s to 144s. Let's see if the market holds. SPY is dipping down a little bit after this report. I tend to think we're going to go up, but who knows, man. I'm going to wait at least 5 minutes to play this, though. NVIDIA's shooting up a little bit here as well. I mean, I critique comments here. You better believe I do, because that's my job. And a lot of them just give out bad information. I'm talking about other YouTubers. I'm not really going to attack other YouTubers. Not publicly, you know. My son is 4. Think I should start karate? Do jiu-jitsu, brother. Do BJJ. It's better. I'm biased. I'm a blue belt in BJJ, so I'm biased for jiu-jitsu for sure. But you already probably know that. All right, so we're dipping down. SPY down. NVIDIA down. We're at 144s. Like, my son does jiu-jitsu. He's good at it, too. So is my daughter. All right, look at this decrease coming all of a sudden here. I thought we'd go up, too. We'll see the 200 exponential right here. We're now under 22,000. Let me see if any news just came out, though. Look at this dump down here. So maybe I'm just wrong. Bud, you're about 30 seconds late of the opening bell. Hit the live button next to the play button, brother. You're delayed in the stream, dude. I do judo. Which one's better? It depends. Judo's a great base, though. I know a lot of friends, and I have a friend that's a black belt in judo. His name's JB. He's from South Korea. Good dude, just a good dude. He gave me some soju for this trip. Shout out to soju. But if I stand with him, I'm getting thrown. You know. Wrestling probably is better. Gold? I mean, we can look at gold, but gold's down from the peak it put in earlier, but a lot of stuff's dropping, really. And gold's kind of been moving in a positive correlation with the rest of the markets here, interesting enough. No, judo's just how to throw people and hit them with the ground, you know. And then it's also ground game as well. Judo is basically the same thing. It just focuses more on standing throws than ground game, but it still focuses on both. BJJ came from judo, and judo came from the original jiu-jitsu, is how it happened. Gold is down. No ish, dude. Give us the analysis. Gold has been sitting pretty close to all-time highs for the last, what, months and months now. Hasn't really broken them, but hasn't really gone down either in any significant way. It's up a huge percentage in the last decade. Gold's been uptrending for the last 10 years, and personally, I'm not really interested in buying it unless you think we're going to hit massive economic weakness from the tariffs, and then that might be a good buy. But for me personally, it's just up too much. Outside of that, I don't know what the heck gold's going to do. Make your own assessment, bro. I'm not an expert at everything, you know. Strange enough, gold is trending with the market right now, which is odd. Usually market goes down, gold goes up, market goes down. Per the CPI, usually CPI is better than expected, gold goes down, but it's kind of weird today. Like gold actually went up with the CPI report originally with the market. And so it's just all kind of strange. MBT is micro Bitcoin, Danny. So it's like a less leveraged form of Bitcoin trading. I'm going to short this one contract. It's my first trade since the open. See if we can catch a little breakdown here. We're basically flat in this account since the opening bell. Give it a little second here. There we go. All right, we're going to cover that. We're green on the day now, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to check, but I think we're green. Yeah, what's up, Pablo? Yeah, I mean, both come from the original jiu-jitsu, but the Gracies learned modern-day BJJ from a judo black belt, and they trained at a judo school. They just spent more time focusing on the ground game and kind of like building those type of strategies up versus judo, which focuses more on throwing people. Because like in terms of self-defense, judo's better because hitting people with the ground is one of the most powerful things you can do. If you can do it well, you know. But yeah. All right, so we shorted, we made money, now we're out. Now it's starting to rebound back up. We'll see what happens here. We're right at the 200 exponential. We're also right under 22,000. So I want to see what happens at that point. It's kind of flat right now, so I'm just going to wait, I think. Hey, thank you, Jose. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. No, I think judo is noticeably better form, Cal. For women, judo is so much better because judo teaches you how to throw people regardless of size. Like if Carol was a black belt in judo and I didn't know anything about it, Carol could slam me on the ground. And she's not tall. I'm like almost a foot taller than Carol, you know. And so judo's better. And again, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, right? So like my bias is jiu-jitsu, but judo's just better for that type of stuff. For self-defense, you know, judo's just better. Jiu-jitsu's good, but judo's better. Anyways, we're testing the 200 exponential. Like I've trained with judokas, and they are incredibly difficult rolls, especially if you start standing. They're not fun rolls. I mean, they're fun, but yeah. All right, so we're starting to come back up. I'm watching NVIDIA here. NVIDIA's at 144.40s. We'll see what it does. Yeah, I'm hilarious, guys. I know. Listen, I get it. Fill my head up even more. You know. I'm smart. I'm hilarious. You know. I'm the greatest trader of all time. Definitely top 3. I know. I get it. Greatest ever. I know. I'm obviously sarcastic, guys. Don't get too upset. Listen, you start talking like this, people start to get weird. And be like, oh, look at this guy's ego. You know, y'all calm down. It'll be all right. Were you smaller when you started? I don't know, bro. I'm like 180 pounds right now. I'm kind of big for me. You know? I've gained some weight, apparently. I've been eating freaking way too many desserts. Market's starting to rebound back up, but we're still really flat. We're testing 22,000 right now. 22,000. Here is 22,000. So I want to watch to see if we break over 22K. I've kind of slowed my trading down because we broke underneath it. I don't know if we're going to push over it or reject it. 200 exponentials right below us. So I'm trying to give it some time to wait here. I'm trying to give it some time to wait. So that's why I'm talking about martial arts and stuff, because we're trying to kill time. But look at 22,000 reject here. I am not 6'4". I am like 5'10", something. I'll round up to 5'11", but I am not 6'4". All right, so again, look, we're rejecting. Where did we reject, guys? We rejected at 22,000. Big milestone level right here. Everybody's watching 22K. But look at NVIDIA turn down here too. So NVIDIA started to break down. Gold is still pretty much flat. But again, my hands are off. We're in 2 sideways and neutral of a range after today's CPI report for me to be super interested in this. And again, guys, listen, check out Top Step. Great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose. And so if you fund your own account, you're probably going to lose whatever you put in there. This happens to almost all day traders. Anybody that you ask that's telling you the truth will tell you that. Most day traders lose, right? So it makes no sense to fund your own account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. Try Top Step. If you fail, the base one's $50. It's not the end of the world. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. Beautiful way to learn. Learning in a structured environment like that, you're still risking something as well. So you're learning to trade under pressure. Your risk is $50 at like a month per account. Beautiful way to learn. Instead of risking 5, 10, 20, 30 grand, you're risking $50. If you pass it, you still get a 90% split. It's similar to funding your own account. And they've paid out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. It's just a good way to learn. That's what I'm trading on today. But I'm not really trading right now because I don't really trust the market. It's a little sketchy here. I don't really trust it. So I'm going to try to let it break out of this range and then maybe attack that. If we get over 22K and hold for a period of time, I might buy it. If we break down under 960 here, I might short it depending on if it holds down under the 200 exponential. So we got a sideways range right now. But again, if you want to check out Top Step, link is pinned at the top of the chat. You can see it in the description as well. But they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased because I get paid by them. 10.5. I'm on the internet. I should say I'm 10.5. Definitely top 3 most straight ever being shown right now. Yeah, I'm waiting. I mean, we're very sideways. The range is honestly really... Whoa. What happened? Okay. Wait, what? Yeah, you guys want me to trade? Like, I'll trade on my challenge account here because that's probably the safest thing to trade on. Hold on, wait, let me show you. Hold on. I'm up actually in this account, look. I'm down in another one though, but that's all right. I guess I'm gonna short this. We're gonna add to it too. We'll take 5 contracts here, short. Maybe add to it. We're up about 4 on this account on the day, I think. Hey. Huh? Okay. All right, so we're short here, but honestly, if we bounce here, I'm not going to be shocked either, though. It's too volatile, honestly. I want to give it a time, though. There we go. There we go. All right, we took most of that off just now. We got one little baby contract here. Is that your mom? Yeah, that's my mom right there. You know, I'm in her basement right now. You know. Ma, can I get some meatloaf? No, it's not my mom. All right, so we're coming down. We're short. We got a little baby micro contract left. Hot Pockets? Okay, yeah. I hadn't had a Hot Pocket in a while, bro. All right, we're going to cut it right here. A baby contract is 1 micro. Yeah, I keep getting the maintenance message as well, Towers. I don't know what it is. Yeah, we're still at 99%. What's Apple doing? Apple dropping? Yeah, Apple just reversed pretty quickly here. It's probably because, like, the tariff news for Apple isn't good. Where does Apple make their iPhones? Overseas. Apple's one of those stocks that's just widely influenced by tariffs. Yeah, my wife's been on like a health kick for the last few years, and it's probably good for me to do, you know. Like, she doesn't want me to eat fast food. She doesn't want me to eat Hot Pockets. The problem though is that I eat like a 12-year-old, and so my diet literally consists of like burgers, pizza, desserts, you know, cereal. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. I'm doing my best. I didn't get stopped here. I was shorting. I shorted right here at 974s, wrote it down, got out. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I do have going for me in terms of like diet is, or in terms of like exercise, is jujitsu. I usually train 3-4 times a week at least. Um, some of the classes I go to are like 10 rolls back to back to back. And I don't do 10. I'll probably do like 6, but that's still, even 6 rolls. Sometimes they're 6 or 7 minutes. That's a lot of time exercising. Jiu-jitsu really is cardio-wise one of the best things you can do, man. That'll build your cardio up. I've seen people come into jiu-jitsu and they were kind of like thick. And within 6 months, they were like my size. And so it's great for that. It really is. And you don't think about it as much because it's exercise. Because it's a game, so you're playing a game. You don't think about, it's not boring like jogging is, but look at gold. So gold rebounding back up. I'm still watching NVIDIA here. NVIDIA's down though, man. That's what's been breaking down the market. NVIDIA's falling. Apple's red on the day too. So it's very strange. Like we had good inflation data, which opens the door to earlier rate cuts, but the market is falling down since the opening bell. It's still really early though, and this move is not like big enough to where it's like, oh, we can't come back. We could certainly come back and rebound and go back up. Very possible. But just interesting how the initial reaction is the opposite of what you would expect. And this is very common for stuff. This is very common. Yeah, I mean, I eat a lot of Greek and Lebanese food. Like I know I'm going to say it wrong, but I say gyro. Chicken shawarma, hummus. Yeah, the news overseas is confusing. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Austin. That's 100% what she's doing. All right, so we're back up to the 200 exponential. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know whether I want to short it or whether this rebound is strong enough to maybe consider a reversal back up to 22. I know 22 is kind of like my milestone level here, where I know a lot of traders are watching 22. So we're underneath it now. We're also under the 200 exponential. My part of me is like, hey, I should short this, but I'm just gonna wait. I think I don't trust it. Yeah, pronouncing gyro has my number. Like I know it's supposed to be pronounced a different way. Gyro, right? Is it gyro? Like a Y sound, but I can never remember if it's like gyro or ero. I always get it wrong. I'm trying to pronounce it right. I just don't know. So all I know is it tastes good. Euro? Okay, got it. Euro. Okay, I got it. I got it. I'm on it. I got it. Never again will I pronounce it gyro. Yeah, I mean, it could be Greek. It could also be like really, in my opinion, the best people to do it are Lebanese people. Like their food is like my favorite in the world, I think. All right, so we're rebounding back up. We're testing 22,000. We're back up. We're almost to 22,000. Let's see if we break it. Amex CFO says credit levels remain strong. Airline spending is soft, in line with quarter one. Spending generally is consistent with quarter one. Hey, later, MC. Have a good day, brother. All right, we're right back up to 22,000. I'm just going to wait here. I don't like it. It's too sideways, too neutral, too indecisive. Oh, I've had Persian food. It's good, too. Armenian food's good. Do you think we cut in June? Absolutely not. There's zero chance of a cut. I think if we looked at the odds right now, there'd be like no chance of a cut. It might be like 1%. So it's basically not happening. And again, listen, I'm going to hold my mic like I'm important. Listen, if you don't pay attention to many Fed meetings, do not fall into the trap of listening to people who have no idea what they're talking about tell you that something that has a 1% chance is going to happen just so they can get views. Right, you got a bunch of rookies that every single time something's like a 0.5% chance or a 1% chance, they're like, yeah, we're going to get a cut. No, we're freaking not, bro. No, we're not. We're not going to get a cut. We're going to pause on June 18th. That's what's going to happen. You know, it's almost certain that that's going to happen. And with that, when something's that obviously going to happen, you want to pivot to what Jerome Powell might say during the press conference. Will he be restrictive? Will he be dovish? That's what you want to focus on. A pause is just going to happen. We're going to pause on June 18th. We're not going to cut. Anybody that tells you that we're going to cut on June 18th has no freaking idea what they're talking about. And they're probably just trying to get attention and be super contrarian just to get attention because they don't have anybody paying attention to them. Right? It's either that or they genuinely just don't have any idea what they're talking about. The overarching point I'm trying to make, we are not going to cut on June 18th. It's possible we do, but it's super, super, super low probability, even with today's good inflation data. Now, maybe I'll eat my words. I've said this every single meeting, and I haven't had to eat my words yet, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, just don't fall for it, you know. September, maybe July, if we get like really good inflation and really weak economic reports and labor reports, maybe. But almost certain we're not going to cut on June 18th. All right, so look, 22,000, the same level we've been talking about all day. We rejected there. I don't really have a play here. You know, maybe you can see an upside down head and shoulders or something like that on a short-term chart, but we got it. Regardless, we are on track for QE. I hope not. I hope we don't do QE. We've slowed QT down, though. We're still doing MBS QT, but we reduced Treasury QT by 80% a couple meetings ago. And I'm okay with that. You know, I just don't want them to do QE because QE causes inflation in a much more profound way than anything else. All right, baby. Yeah, QE causes inflation much more than anything else. So I don't want to do QE. I'd rather us cut 25 basis points, but not do QE. Yeah, it's next week. That ain't happening. Yeah, he's just not going to cut June 18th, though. All right, I'm going to buy this up now. Like, I think we're close enough to the 200 EMA where I can buy this up. And see if we get a bounce back or retest at 22. And we're up enough to where if we fail here, it's not the end of the world. But there we go. Hey, when you're right, you're right. I'm gonna cut that there. See if we retrace back down. I'll buy it again, maybe. And that's a retracement. This is a challenge account, by the way, so I'll take more risk on this thing and see if we can pop back up. But we're flat, we're green. There we go. There we go. Look at those trades, guys. This little guy, don't worry about this little guy right here. You know? Now let's see if the 200 EMA holds and it does turn into like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Where's Tesla at? Tesla down again on the day, but still at 330, so it's a lot better than it was. All right, so the president just posted. Hold on, wait. The president said something. Hold on. Bro, how long is this report? So the president says CPI just out, great numbers. Fed should lower 1 full point. Would pay much less interest on debt coming due. So important, end quote. So the president again just posted CPI just out, great numbers. Fed should lower 1 full point. Would pay much less interest on debt coming due. So important, end quote. Yeah, let me know if you agree with him. Look, we're right back up to 22,000. All right, so there's 22,000 again. I tend to think that we're gonna at least like test this area. We'll see, but Yeah, so look, rejecting at 22,000. So slow, bro. I don't know what's going on. What? Oh. Still very flat. I mean, Tesla's kind of flat too. Interesting after these CPI numbers, though, man. It really is. Strange. All right, so we're rejecting back down to the 200 exponential. I don't know if I trust this now, man. I mean, we're still sitting under 22,000. Can't really get over it. Market's trying to bounce back up a little bit, but we're still struggling. Where's the scammer? Here's the scammer. Never listen. Anything that has an X in it, that's like X this in crypto, it's scammers. They just spam and scam you. They try to get you to send them stuff or invest in nonsense. Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of look like a short, I guess. But I'm going to see 1 second, see if it pops back up. I want to wait 1 second, see if it pops back up. Tesla bouncing back up. We're at 332s, almost 332s. Very flat over the last 20 minutes or so. And we're starting to bounce back up a little bit. Hold on. Oh, great. Here, hold on. Let me put this up. I don't want to. I'm trying to open up a document here. Hold on. You guys can just see me like this. This camera is honestly better. I kind of like this laptop camera. It's almost better than my other camera. But hold on. Where's the date? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay, I got it. All right, guys. So, yeah, we're still here. Hold on. There we go. Retesting 22,000. Still looking at the CPI report. Will the market break all-time highs? I did a poll here. We asked people, are they bullish or bearish into the opening bell? 74% are bullish. I would be bullish too with the data here, but like still interesting. All right, now we're rejecting. So if we break out of the 200 exponential, I really want to short this. And I'll give it a second to potentially short it if we do break under this level. See, but we bounced right there at the 200 exponential again, dude. So what are we supposed to do here? I guess you could buy the bottom of the range. But still, dude, this looks incredibly choppy, boring. I'm waiting, guys. I want good stuff to happen here. But yeah. Will Besant really replace Powell? I don't know, man. I know they were kind of talking about it. 55% tariff is kind of negative. I think that's why we're down, probably. Bro, this is. I got up here and I started the stream early today at 6 a.m. And so if I'm wearing this, you know, y'all be okay. Like, I'm not gonna put a suit on and act like I'm some type of freaking. Like I'm sitting on a couch right now. I'm not gonna put a suit on. Tesla started to bounce back up. We're almost looking over 200K. This looks bullish now, but all right, I'll try to buy it. I'll fall for it. Let's try. There we go. I'll buy it. If we get green, I'll add to it. That's what I'm gonna do. Add. This is it. I'm gonna make this moment the time when it breaks 22K. Add some more. There we go. Take half of this position off. Somehow we made money, but like we've got some really good trades here, but it's over 22,000 now. I'm out. Still all green trades basically, except for one out of 20. Yeah. All right, so we did rip over 22K. Got really sideways for a second, ripped up. Hey, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, baby. You got me some food. We pull it back to 22K, I'm buying it. But I'm going to get out of here, guys. Listen, I love you all. Have a great day. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, beautiful way to help support the channel. Link is pinned to the top of the chat. If you want to learn to trade, it's the best way. Learning in a structured environment like that just makes sense. It's the best way, in my opinion. Makes perfect sense to learn without risking 5, 10, 20, 30 grand per account. When I first got started, I lost like 4 or 5,000 in 3 weeks. I wish I had something like this because day trading futures is very similar to day trading stocks. But again, I'm biased. I get paid by them, but it's genuinely useful. Their new dashboard is really nice. And yeah, check it out. Hey, I love you all. Have a great day. Y'all be safe in the market today, man. Tomorrow we got PPI inflation data, and we will be live as we always are for PPI inflation, bright and early right here. So y'all be safe. Sit tight in the market. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. CPI better than expected. Understand all this stuff. Hey, I love you all. I appreciate you guys joining me early today. We had almost 5,000 people here for CPI. Thanks so much. Appreciate the love. And yeah, y'all have a great day. I'll see you guys later.